It's 5:30 on a Saturday night, and I'm standing on the side of a road because I think I found a shot that I've been wanting to get for some time. This is the middle of nowhere, but that over there on the horizon is the Malvern Hills, and the Malvern Hills are something that it's very difficult to get photography of. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Saturday night. It's about 5:30. It's just a little bit later than that right now. Actually, it's nearly 10 to 6. The sunset tonight's going to be about 7:30-ish, so I've got a little bit of time before I actually do anything. But over there is something that I have been wanting to take a picture of for quite some time. They are the Malvern Hills. And there's a problem with taking the Malvern Hills, because whilst you can go up onto the top of the hills and take pictures of the hills themselves or the locations around, I'm not particularly confident about doing that, to be honest. I'm not fit, I'm not active. I should be fitter and more active. And this year, especially now that we're coming out of lockdown, I might try and find ways in order to do that. But I've got to be honest, I'm not there at the moment, and I would feel uncomfortable about trying to walk up to Malvern. I did it once when I was a kid, and it nearly killed me, and I was much fitter back then, I can tell you. So anyway, I've been trying to find a place to stand where I can take a picture of the Malvern Hills. Difficult enough, because for the past 4 months, I haven't been able to go anywhere. I have to say, very, very glad to be back doing stuff. So anyway, as I was driving around today, and the whole point of driving today was to try and find somewhere where, as 7:30 approaches, I would be able to set up a camera, take a shot, have something which was really nice. I think I found it. I was just coming down the road, and there was a little opening, and I can see in the distance and the shape of the Malvern Hills, and then some of the kind of the fields in front of it. I think this might be right, but I won't know until the sun has sunk low enough, because the tricky bit on a shot like this is that the Malvern stretch right the way across where this is going to be, and the sun's going to be sinking down behind it. So it could well be that by the time the sun sets, the hills will be so much in silhouette that actually it won't be a very good shot at all. We'll have to wait and see for that. But the other thing that I'm going to do today is start using this app that I downloaded absolutely ages ago. Now, you've probably heard about this. It's called What 3 Words. And I know to a 3x3 radius exactly where I'm standing. I'm standing on Endearing Windmills Flip. So if you want to find the place where I've taken this photo from, you can actually put that into What 3 Words, and you can come to this exact location and stand on this exact spot and get that exact photo. And maybe that's not necessarily a good thing to share around, because a lot of times photographers want to keep their location safe. But if you're a photographer, that means that you can put all of your favorite places into this app, and you can come back and find them time and time again. I think it's a really great idea. Now, the problem that I'm going to have with this photo, in part, is that it's quite a long way in the distance. So my usual 18-135 lens isn't going to work. I'm going to need something slightly different. I'm going to need the 50-230. And so that's what I'm going to be setting up on today's video. I will go away and do that. I'm actually going to go from a completely different location now, because now I know exactly what it is I want to take. And I will be back here later on tonight to try and get this as the sun is setting. I am risking my sunset shot tonight because I have found something that might be a little bit better. Now, if I rotate around here and the camera can follow me, there, just over my shoulder there, you should see. I just found this at the side of the road. It is some sort of old castle-y sort of entrance. It might be an old folly, so it might not be an old thing. But there is a brilliant shot here with the Malvern Hills in the background. A little bit of editing that I'd need to do on it, because I'd have to take out some pylons. But I'm going to bracket this shot, and that should mean, now there's not a lot in terms of sky in here today, but it should mean that we get a fairly good shot a fairly interesting shot, and we should get a lot of texture and stuff in that building, and we should get the thing straight. Now, if I switch this for a moment onto this mode so you can see what I'm doing and press record, you can see here, if I just make that, what we've got the castle in the foreground, and I need to really kind of light this up to be able to see the castle there. But if I squidge that down a sec, you'll be able to start to see in the background, or maybe you can't, maybe it's too dim and distant, but the Malvern Hills are in the background as well. And that's what I really wanted to get when we had this particular image. I'm also on f16, so as the sun is coming down there, we should get a little bit of a sort of sunspot thing here. And I'm going to focus, actually, if I'm able, up here, where we've got a lot of contrast. I'm going to do this twice, once in the foreground, once in the background. So let's set that off. We're on a 2-second timer. Okay, we've got some interesting stuff there. I want to do that again as far away as possible. One of the problems with doing this right now, there we go, focused, taking a picture. One of the problems with doing this right now is it's such a long time since I've taken a photo. I've kind of forgotten how an awful lot of the camera stuff works. So I'm hoping that I'm getting all of this right. I should be, but I am pressing some buttons and it's not quite responding the way that I want. We'll have a look and see what that's like. I'm also, of course, going to get out my app and open up What 3 Words and ask it to find my current location and save that, because you can save that. And I'm going to put Strange Castle, which is just my reference. And it means that if I want to come back here again and I just can't quite remember which roads I took, I can find it straight away. Right, I haven't got long left. It's about half an hour till the sunset actually starts proper. And that means I'm going to have to go as quickly as possible, but of course, legally, to the location. Here's the final shot I managed to get, and it actually turned out to be one of my favourite shots of the night, even though there were more things on the horizon. Well, there were mostly hills on the horizon, if I'm honest. Actually, I did a lot of work on this image, blending together about 3 shots of the 18 that I took to make sure, firstly, that everything was sharp throughout the frame, and secondly, that everything was balanced the way that I wanted it. Particularly tricky was the castle itself. Because I was shooting directly into the sun, I did have some horrid lens flare which had to be edited out in post. It took ages, but I think that the finished image shows how important this was. Finally, I added a little autumn effect onto this as well, which really brings out the look of the place. This is definitely a location that I want to return to and explore a little more, perhaps in the morning during a sunrise, and see what I can get there. Okay, so I'm back at the original location. I couldn't help but fire off a couple of shots when I got here, because the light here at the moment is absolutely fantastic. I'm just about to do a panorama where I'm taking in this whole vista, and it's just so lovely. So I'm going to do what I normally do with the panorama and turn the camera on its side like that, and that means you get the best, mostest available megapixels for your thing. Turn the camera on. I'm turning it on and off so I can save a bit of battery. I'm going to zoom in quite a long way on this because I want it to be quite zoomed in. And I also want to make sure that it's straight as much as possible. So what I might do actually is zoom out a touch. And we're going to start over here where that is, and we want to focus on the background, on the mountains in the background. Those bits need to be done. And each one of these is bracketed as well, because there's so much light coming from over there. There's not much else we can do about it, but I love the way that the light's shining on the foreground at the moment, and I'm hoping that I'll get some of that in the shot. I've also got a little bit of this tree in, but I'm going to keep that in for the time being. And I'm also going to make sure that we have our 2-second timer on because that is going to be important. So let this off. And that was good. I think that's going to work really well. What I'm finding a little bit difficult when doing this actually is to sort of figure out the next point on in the panorama. I can see a bit there. It's so easy to just move it a little bit too far and then it's too late, you know, you're done. So I'm just going to refocus here as well because I think it's focused okay. I'm just checking. Now we've still got a little bit of time before the sun sets behind the hills over there as well. So there will be plenty to look at still. But I really do love the look of this, and hopefully it's going to make a really nice panorama. I've also got a single shot from landscape and portrait shot from here as well, with this same sort of lighting, and it's looking great. And the thing to remember, of course, is how big this is going to be. I'm taking a bunch of different shots right now. So hopefully that means that we could get a really, really big, really crisp image out of it. And one of the great things about Fuji is that the image quality is good to start off with. So in theory, that shouldn't be a problem. I thought when I left the last location with the little castle that I'd have to actually really rush to get here. But as it happens, the light is just about where I wanted. And actually the sun is sinking just about where I want it as well. So that's really good. That's exactly what I wanted to get here. I'm just going to do this one last shot to finish this panorama off. I was just waiting for the light. And I thought what I'd do was just sit down for a second, do a bit of a piece to camera whilst I was waiting for this. And it's happening. It's slow, but it's happening. I can see the red glow as the sun's coming down. It's looking absolutely gorgeous. I'm hoping that we'll get something a bit special, even though there's not a lot of cloud cover tonight. I think we might get something which looked rather nice. Anyway, I sat down here to say I'll do a quick piece to camera because I wanted to talk about lockdown and what's been happening and why I've not done a lot of videos recently. It's mostly due to a very, very simple thing that I was shut away. For 4 months, I wasn't allowed to go out to places like this and take photos, which is kind of why I started taking photos in the first place. And I wanted to do something. I wanted to get out there again, but I also thought it was important as I got out there that I started slowly. No great reason other than, to be honest, I was a bit scared to start again. You know, when you've been telling yourself, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this for such a long time. And I'm paying close attention to the colours in the sky over there. It then becomes difficult to kind of pluck up the courage to go again and to do that sort of thing again. I think we might be just getting to time. I'm going to put this back on the bracketed shot that we had. The sun is great right now. The sun is really, really excellent. I think that's fantastic. Let's make that nice and sharp. One of the great things you can do on the back of the camera, if you press the back command dial, you can sort of punch in. I'm wondering, I don't think, there's no way I can do this because of where the sun is. There's no way I can do this and not get a bit of a reflection in the sun. I could try and grab the thing to go on the front, but I don't think that's going to do much. Let's try that and see what happens. So I've put the lens hood on the front of the camera, and of course it doesn't make the blindest bit of difference because the sun is right in the lens anyway. So I'm going to have to edit that out in post. I've got it on brackets. I'm doing 9 brackets because that's the way I like to do it. I like using 9 photos mostly because I quite like having the ability to play around with stuff, and it will mean that you probably get 4 photos that you don't need at all, and possibly 2 photos that you actually use. Right, I've got to take this shot now. I can't hang around doing this. We're on the 60th of a second, which looks a little bit slow. Okay, 1/25th is there. 30th of a second is much better, but that's a bit tricky. I think okay, I'm going to put it on 125th. There's a method in this madness because I know I'll overexpose by 2 stops as well. We'll see what that does. I think, just refocus again to make sure. I think that's going to do it. We're on f16 and we're on 160th. Now, if this doesn't work, of course, I can always do it again and we'll see what actually happens. Yeah, you see, that was fine. That was absolutely perfect. And if I flip through some of those photos now, you'll see that there's parts where I can only just see the sun there. I'm robbing pictures there. And then I've got the mountains in the background, and then I've got the landscape, and then I've got a lens flare, basically, because of the sun. But that was what I wanted to get, and I'm pretty happy with that. There is some brilliant colouring going on in the sky right now, and that sun is going to set right over those mountains. So I'm going to push this up to f22. I'm going to take the shutter speed up a little bit because we still want to be exposed. We're going to do this again, and then we're going to run this again just to make sure. It's always a very nervous moment when you let your camera off like this for the first time for a while. I think that's got it. I think in one way, shape or form, we've got it. And that's the kind of the image that I want. Now, I'm going to sit here for a little while and do a little bit more waiting because I know as the sun starts to sink, we're going to be getting different images as well. In part, as the sun gets behind those mountains, we're going to get the sort of the sun stars. Let's give it a go. This is the best position I've found so far, because I haven't seen the rest of the images that I've edited for the Malvern Hills, and I'm really pleased with some of the colours and stuff in there. I'll see you if I get anything else.
I really love the lighting on the shots I got here. Now, the edits of this shot and the panorama are very similar, but that's okay. I think a lot of people try and get either everything completely uniform with their edits, or want to do something different for every single picture. The trick really is to make your edits unique, and I certainly didn't start off thinking that this would be a similar image to what I had before. But in the process of editing, I found that that was the image that wanted to be there. I always think about my raw files as a blank canvas. There's something there that's meant to be there, and it's my job as an editor to find out what that is. But this wasn't the last shot that I got that evening.
It's got so dark now, the sun still isn't quite set yet, but I've had to take the F number down to F9, so I'm not going to get any great sun spikes tonight. Now, the reason for that, and I could arguably do a longer shot if I wanted to get them, but the reason for that is because I don't want to push this too much tonight. Like I'd said before, I'm still a little bit unsure as to what I'm doing tonight. I'm here really just to kind of ease myself back into things. I don't want to do anything too complicated. I don't want to go, hey, I know I can do like a minute's worth of shots or anything like that. That's not why I'm here. The sun is still up there, but it's going slowly. Now, what I also did with the camera, I don't know if you can see this, but I've tightened this up too much, so I can't move it around. But I've put the camera a lot lower, and it was the idea was that I was going to try and get a little bit of this foreground in as well. I'm not going to do that anymore. I just wanted to get this a little bit lower so that I'm shooting up. It does mean that I've got a lot of kind of leeway when it comes to the sky. I've got the settings about right now. I think this is the moment that I want. I think this is the part where I'm going to have to go, here's the shot. And I think this is the shot. Now let's just see. Let's just see if I can frame this properly. I need it out a little bit from that. We'll make sure we're flat, which we are. Something to remember, you don't always need to sharpen your shots. That's probably the wrong thing to say. Let me try that again. You don't always need to have a level shot. Sometimes what looks level in the camera is better than what actually might be level. Now we're just about to lose the sun. I need to set this off now in order to get it. I've got it. That's the shot. The good thing, of course, about RAW is that you've got a little bit of leeway to play around with that. I've got 9 shots of this one shot in order to have a little bit of leeway to play around with that. I'm going to wait a little bit longer because when the sun sinks, as it's just sinking right now, we should start to see that hot spot disappear in the image. And I've just realized I've not taken any video of this, so I might have to put up individual stills on screen so you can see what I'm talking about. I just want this hot spot in the image to go. And at that point, we're going to get a really subtle light, a really subtle point. I can also zoom right into here if I wanted to, and just really focus on a shot that is all about that light, all about the contrast between the mountain in front of it and the thing behind it. That's really nice because it's got a lot of different colors in that sky that I think play well together. I'm going to do one more. I've got to be really quick with this because this is the point where light just disappears and you can't spend hours and hours and hours doing this sort of stuff. So I need to get this done quickly. I am making sure this is all sort of stable and everything. But there you go. I've got that. That's nice. Oh, that's nice. Okay, and once more, I did a panorama earlier. I'm going to just bring this up a little bit more. We're going to start at this end, I think. I'll just loosen that up just a touch. I'm going to start up here. We'll focus here. I'm going to take this onto single shot mode. Because we won't need any more than a single shot on this. We're still on 2 seconds, which is good. Okay, and I've got to be really quick with this because that light is going to go if I'm not. It's already going. Oh, but that might be gorgeous. If this works out, this is going to be a really gorgeous panorama. Okay, let's see if I can do just one more shot. Might even do it handheld. Gosh, look at that. That is absolutely stunning. And I'm a bit... 1/60th of a second is tricky hold, but not impossible. Now, if I actually took that down, I wanted to take this up a little bit, 1/25th. I can take this down to 6.7. That's better. I've got some birds in the shot as well. Forgot to take the 2-second timer off. because you don't need that when you're hand holding. Let's just have a quick look at that. That is lovely. I really like that. One more. Now in these shots, now you see what I did, instead of putting the 2-second timer on, is I put a 10-second timer on, and that's worse, you see. Okay, that's off. Brilliant. Okay. I've only got a few seconds. All right, I think one more. I think after this, we're done. That's it. That was my evening, taking shots. First time since COVID. Well, not the first time since COVID, but the first time since the massive restrictions that we had in the UK that basically locked us down for 4 months, or locked me down for 4 months, because I got a letter saying do not go anywhere on pain of death. I didn't quite say that, obviously. And you know what? This has been excellent. This has been really excellent. It's just what I needed. I needed to go somewhere where the whole point of the trip wasn't, I must get this particular shot. I needed to just have a play around, have a little bit of a road trip, have a, get out and see the world, and then go, okay, well, this is what I want to experience in the world. Because I was really struggling, and I've been really struggling for quite some time. Mostly with the fact that, you can't do everything that you're doing before. And sometimes that's not a particularly good thing. In fact, a lot of the time it isn't. Photography was something that I've used a lot to help with my mental health. And not being able to do it in the way that I wanted to do it is something that has really hindered my mental health. However, if tonight is anything to go by and those shots really work, I'm really looking forward to the next trip.
And I still am. It was a really wonderful evening, and I managed to get some great shots from it. This was the last image that you've just seen me taking, and the way that night sky lit up as the sun was setting, it's just phenomenal. It left shapes in the sky that I didn't even know were there. All in all, this was a really successful first trip back. But before I leave you, I just wanted to mention one of the new tools that I've started using when editing these shots. I've been getting more interested in luminosity masks in Photoshop, and a new plugin called the Pro Panel lets you make them very, very easily. All of tonight's shots were edited in part using that panel, and I may make a video about it in the weeks to come. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks ever so much for coming along. If you liked it, please do give it a thumbs up, and if there's something that you'd like to ask, or if you want to say hi, then do leave a comment as well. Finally, if you're new here and you'd like to see more of these videos, hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell icon at the end. And until next time, don't forget, keep taking those pictures.